is Julie Marcus. I am the Director of Marketing for New England Environmental. We've been located here in Amherst for 25 years, and we are a full-service environmental consulting firm with about 30 employees. New England Environmental rented a number of spaces here in Amherst, and about 7 years ago we decided to build our own offices. And it was important to us that our corporate commitment to sustainability be reflected in whatever kind of structure we built. We made a decision to go with LEED, the Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design, as our guide to constructing a sustainable building. And so we did achieve a platinum certification for this building, which is LEED's highest level. We gave the building envelope a great deal of attention. This building is actually a 2x6 wall, then a 2-inch space, and then a 2x4 wall. So you'll notice in the window wells they're a foot thick. That foot is filled with dense packed cellulose, which is a recycled newspaper product that's locally manufactured in Belchertown. So there's a foot in the walls and 2 feet in the ceiling, which gives us an R40 in the walls and an R80 in the ceiling. Once we get this building to the temperature we want, it stays that way very effectively for a long period of time. So we require very little heating and cooling in order to keep the building at a stable temperature. The building is sided with a recycled product called HardiePlank. It's a composite product made of recycled concrete, a polymer, and wood chips that never needs to be painted or maintained in any way. So that's great from a maintenance perspective, that we won't be spending $12,000 every couple of years to restain or paint the building. The windows are an argon-filled window, which has a higher insulative property than oxygen, so we're not losing a lot of heating and cooling through the doors and windows of the building. It was important to us to not light the night sky, so all of our exterior lighting is a downcast lighting. So there are 0 foot candles of light, which is how light is measured, outside of our building property. We put some effort into reducing the heat island effect of the buildings, so the roofing material is actually a solar reflective shingle, which bounces the light and the heat of the sun back up into the sky rather than heating up the building. Also, the grass pavers have much less heating effect than the asphalt, so our parking lot is half as hot as the average parking lot. All of the plantings around the building are native plantings, and we use no pesticides or fertilizers and do minimal landscaping. It was important for us to have an opportunity to demonstrate to our clients and other visitors all of the stormwater management techniques that we're always trying to convince them to put into their own sites. So we used things like rain gardens, bioswales, porous asphalt, grass pavers, things that infiltrate stormwater on site very effectively. And so we were able, in a very small building site, to demonstrate a lot of these techniques for our clients and other visitors. We've given about 850 tours of this building since we opened 2.5 years ago, and many of those have been to young civil engineers and landscape architects who are just entering their careers, and those are the people we're depending on to clean up our stormwater in the future. So that's a very exciting activity for us. When we selected the site for this building, we were careful to choose one that offered access to public transportation, which this site does. This site had no rare and endangered species on it. That was important to us. And people were close to the bike path and to a major highway with a lot of commuter and carpooling traffic, so that was important. We have put a lot of water efficiency features in. We have no permanent irrigation on the outside. We have waterless urinals and low flush toilets and low flow faucets. So we produce very little wastewater, and we use very little potable water in this building. We used a lot of materials in the building that are sustainable. We used rapidly renewable bamboo for the flooring, the cabinets, and the wainscoting. All of the composite wood in the building is adhered with 0 VOC adhesives. All of the paints, the varnishes, and the glues are 0 VOC. Many of the building materials on this site were recycled, so very little of the material that we used was put into the landfill. We had a very active recycling program during the construction. We have a very elaborate heating and cooling system where the entire building is ventilated using an energy recovery ventilation system. And then every office has its own thermostat and its own mini-split heating and cooling unit that is supported by an air-to-air heat pump outside. So each occupant has control of their own environment, and we're able to produce a lot of fresh air in this building. So it's a very comfortable building to work in. All of the interior spaces have both daylighting and views to the outside, so you don't get that sleepy 3 o'clock feeling in this building because you have lots of fresh air, lots of natural light, and you get to control your own temperature. Our decision to build a sustainable building also includes the operations of that building, and a few examples of that would be that we use, for example, continuous feed cloth towels in our bathrooms. They just go out to a laundromat, they're delivered back clean, and that eliminates all of the waste from paper towels and all of the electricity that might be used by hot air hand dryers. We have a comprehensive transportation management plan associated with the building that incentivizes arriving to work every day either by human power, biking and walking, or by public transportation. We also use green cleaning products in the building, which has been really nice for people who have trouble with chemicals. We have a few people who work here who are sensitive to cleaning products, so we use mostly vinegar in our cleaning, which is a very effective cleaner. We also use pitchers of water and glasses rather than disposable water bottles when we entertain, and we use real ceramic mugs rather than styrofoam cups when we entertain guests in the building. And those small things not only make people more comfortable, but also reduce the waste that we produce. Our waste is handled by a local hauler, and we have 2 dumpsters, one for trash and another for single stream recycling. So the tenants are able to put their paper, glass, aluminum all into one dumpster, and it's all hauled away. So we generate very little waste here at the building. In designing this building, it was important to us to minimize our use of fossil fuels. So we decided to go with an entirely electric building, and that naturally led to a discussion of can we generate that electricity here on site. So the very first feature we designed on the building was actually the roof. The entire building was designed underneath that, and the roof was designed to have perfect angle for a solar array for this location. So we put a 39K solar array on the roof. That's roughly 200 panels. It was about 2,500 square feet, and that generates over 50% of the electricity used in the building. The entire cost of the solar array was about $300,000, but a third of that we recouped in the investment tax credit provided by the federal government, so $100,000 came back to us. We also received a $133,000 grant from the Massachusetts Technology Collaborative, and Amherst provides a property tax abatement for the value of the array and the entire HVAC system powered by that array for 20 years. Our energy model also shows us that we use $21,000 less utility than the average building of this size. So we're having huge energy savings based on our heating, cooling, and lighting systems, and the power that we do use, we generate ourselves. So financially, it's been an excellent investment for us. When we were considering the design of this building, we had heard a lot of horror stories about how green buildings cost twice as much, and that was definitely not our experience. This building was actually about $40 per square foot less than a couple of typical office buildings that have been built in Amherst in the last 5 years. These features most of them didn't cost more, but they did require an added level of attention and planning. That has become less true because in the last 5 years, these practices and these materials have become so widely available, so commonly used, that many of them don't require such careful attention as they did 5 years ago. But it really didn't cost us more to build this building. It probably took an extra 2 months in a 4-year process for us to consider all of the LEED features and all of the other sustainable features, but it didn't cost more. Part of our sustainable vision for New England Environmental was not just environmental sustainability, but it also was economic sustainability. We needed to build a structure that we could afford, but we also wanted to spend as many dollars as possible right here in Amherst so that our neighbors were benefiting from the work that we did. So we made every effort. There were about 300 people involved in the construction of this building when you think about inspectors, permitting organizations, contractors, vendors, subcontractors. And we tried to spend as many dollars as possible on contractors that share our zip code, because we felt like if we were going to put all this money out into the world, we wanted it to benefit our local community. And that has generated a lot of goodwill in the community and was a very important part of the project for us, to make sure that this building wasn't just a green building, but it was also a local building.